agree that a centralized effort is easily crushed. I agree that you join an organization, you sign up on a list, you attend a big rally or a big pre-planned event, you show up at January 6th. There's a lot of ways that you can crush that. Any kind of the trucker convoys in Canada, another great example. It's really easy to crush down on these organized, forecasted, dissident uprisings against the cabal, against the tribe, against the synagogue of Satan, against the Jew, against Israel, and all of its tentacles that, allege or purport to run governments and be in charge of countries throughout the West, including the United States government. So at the direction of the Jew, it's really easy for the federal law enforcement apparatus that's also controlled by Shabbos goys and lying Pajits, to crack down on these people. And they would love to go laser dot people's foreheads and their kids in the middle of the night for trying to tear down or replace this existing apparatus that's called the U.S. federal government. A lot of people don't realize, the depths and the tentacles and how technical all of this gets is very deep. But everywhere you look, and every tree that you look around and every rock that you flip over, you find a subversive Jew. You find a prolific, pedophile, homosexual, vile, disgusting, filthy Jew. Whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's in the media, whether it's in big banking or big finance otherwise, whether it's in big corporate America, whether it's in any of these NGOs, the military-industrial complex benefits, so that they can siphon money and launder it through this illegitimate nation state, calling it a war effort for our greatest ally, convince boomer, non-denominational evangelicals that this is God's way because these are his chosen people, 2.4 billion people. That's a lot of people to be subverted through the introduction of the Scofield Bible. And Christians will die for their beliefs because they have been promised by Jesus Christ that they will live a life of persecution, that they will be on an island, that they will take all of the arrows, that they should put on the armor of God, that they should, pray and repent. And you're not solely getting out of this situation, obviously, with any kind of normal political solution. There is a precedent for it, but it's not by going and voting for sheriffs, in my opinion. I used to believe that there was a time that we could do that, and I understand the sentiment. I used to believe that there was a time that we could, from a local level, really start getting noticers and, red-pilled, brave people with nuts, with testicular fortitude, with a set of balls, with real men to actually take control of their communities by starting with school boards and going to these meetings and just announcing, I will be challenging each and every single one of you to get you off of the school board because here's what I find in my public schools. And then just reading out loud some of the books that are found on the shelves that your sixth grader has access to that teaches them how to suck cock, right? I used to think that, but right now I believe we don't have the time. At what point does local elections bubble up to a national level? In how many different small towns or even large cities, and how many different counties and jurisdictions at the state level would it take for that bubbling up, that grassroots political effort or that political resolution through voting? How long would it take to even impact the state legislature and to get into the state houses or to challenge states' executives to become governors in our states? Much less the federal bureaucracy, this machine that has been set up that is so safeguarded by all of these, existing munitions and different weapons and surveillance tactics and techniques and, all of the weapons of war, both kinetic and psychological, that the cohorts of our federal government have, that they have been equipped with our money. We have paid for our own demise. And a lot of people, myself included, for a short period of time, I've been on the air for close to 6 years now. But before me, there were a lot of people out here saying we're running out of time. And so you have these conversations with people like, well, what we're talking about now is like this imminent situation. We're talking about how grave, the danger is that faces our country and that faces the future of our country. We're in end times. You hear a lot of Christians say, these are the end times that we were told about. These are what we were promised, the deception and the wars and the rumors of wars and Gog and Magog. And you can see it all playing out. And then you listen to pastors as they try to contextualize all of this biblically and tell you that this is God's prophecy. Greg Locke is a great example. Yep, Greg, I see where it says in the Bible. It's in first, never before said ever, chapter Go Fuck Yourself, where it says that we're going to burn a red heifer and play in its ashes and usher in the Antichrist after we blow up an existing mosque and build the third temple. After we baptize enough people in this cattle trough draped with the Star of Remphan, the satanic Israeli flag, and baptize people in the name of this arbitrary, illegitimate nation state rather than in the name of Jesus Christ. I used to believe that we had that time. I used to believe that, my parents would talk about these are the end times, right? Generations before us have always said, this is a war that we have to win. This is the most consequential times ever. We've been chosen for a time such as this. We are the chosen people of God. We have to pick up the sword and fight. This has been conversation that's been happening for a century. So what makes you think that it's any different now? Why are we having the conversation? Will they be having the same conversation and a different set of talking points 100 years from now? Are we all just spinning our wheels, running around on this fucking hamster wheel in this little snow globe experiment inside of the Matrix, where the reality that people really should be waking up to is something that they just choose not to? They would prefer to remain willfully ignorant and not see everything that's rushing toward their children because they'll just be dead soon. See, it's that complacency and it's that apathy that these fucking boomers continued with that put us into this situation in the first place. These are the people that put us into this situation. Well, we're just going to pray about it. We're just going to hope. We're just going to vote. We're just going to, continue to fight. Our job here is to spread awareness. I used to believe that that's what we did. I used to believe that that was our function. When we first came on the scene, the Stu Peters Network turned into whatever this is. We were fighting back against COVID tyranny. We were exposing patents. We were doing, other projects. We were working on things to expose to the masses the death shot, the plan behind it, the people behind it, the entities behind it, what it'll do to you, interviewing all of the experts, bringing them on. Like we were like an information catalyst for people. We were the conduit between the bad guys and the good guys, showing what the bad guy was doing over here, using Rumble and all of the available. Telegram was big for us. And our job was to disseminate information. Our job was to be the bullhorn of the people. Our job was awareness, spreading awareness. At what point do you say, I think enough people are now aware and it's time for action? Enough people are now aware that pedophiles run these governments throughout the West and that no, voting for a sheriff is not going to do it. We don't have the time. At what point do people say, I recognize that although be it the death and the carnage and the rape and the molestation and the bioweapons and the weather weaponization and the elections and the bureaucracies and the criminal corruption and the corporate private government syndicate, mafia, I understand that all of these things are controlled by foreign influence, particularly by this little nation state called Israel. I understand that they were involved with the assassination of my president. I understand that they were involved in an act of war against the USS Liberty in international waters. I understand and I know for a fact that they committed international war crimes by strafing the lifeboats of the survivors as they were trying to get away from a boat that they had previously napalmed and torpedoed, trying to ensure that everybody was dead. I understand that the Jew that they installed, Lyndon B. Johnson, helped to cover that up. And still, to this day, our government, including President Trump, who is now Mr. Pedophile Cover-Up, helped to cover that up as well because his administration hasn't released anything about the USS Liberty. How many people understand, yep, I saw 9/11. I saw those buildings dustified. I saw Building 7 come down. I saw the footage from the Pentagon, which was likely another doctored Adobe Premiere, presentation, just like this stupid correctional facility tape that had a minute out of it. I know who was behind 9/11. I know that the Israelis were dancing. I know that it's controversial to say these things, but I also know that for the same reasons why they had to remove Bashar al-Assad were the same reasons that they had to kill Muammar Gaddafi, the same reasons that they had to kill Saddam Hussein, the same reasons that they had to kill Adolf Hitler. I see what happens to people like JFK when they stand up to the synagogue of Satan. I see what happens when a president or a leader tries to take our country back from its oppressors and its captors and try to free its people, put it first, make its interests my only interest, to protect our borders and to protect our people. I understand that these things are true. And I feel like we're running out of time. I don't feel like elections are going to do it. I don't feel like a bunch of armed people running around shooting people is going to do it. I don't think that a centralized effort or a militia or some group that you sign up for, although be it constitutionally protected, but what good is that document? What good is the Constitution if we're just going to keep amending it and ignoring it? What good is the Constitution if we're not going to actually take it in its original form and enforce it? So, as a person who believes that although be it flawed, the Constitution is the document that founded our country, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, that these documents and that those people that authored those documents, they told us, if there comes a day where you don't like your government anymore, if there comes a day where this system that we have set up is something that you just can't appreciate anymore, or worse, when it becomes oppressive, when this government becomes a tyranny, if that should happen, good men should rise up and take that government back. Good men should abolish that form of government. So going to war with one another absolutely appeases the people who have been attacking us since the beginning of time. Going to war civilly against one another and in some organized fashion or unorganized, like you were saying, it's not going to be you're wearing a uniform. It's not going to be the North and the South. It's not going to be the British. You're not going to see them coming in the redcoats. So they're going to hide behind every tree. They're going to be under every rock. As much as this war is kinetic and kids are dying, and as much as abroad people are being blown up by American manufactured munitions that are paid for by the American taxpayer, as much death and destruction and carnage as we have seen in this country, at what point do people say, I recognize that the number one sponsor of terror is the United States government? I realize that our government is fake, that it doesn't work for us, and that there are just several thousand people that have control of these levers of power that must be removed. They are treasonous traitors. They are pedophiles and rapists. They are corrupt criminals who are blackmailed and controlled and captured, who are acting not for our best interests, but actually the opposite, to our detriment. These are the same people who are in control of all of these countries and all of these governments that inscribed onto the Georgia Guidestones that they would reduce the population to 500 million. From 8.5 billion, that means, well, by my math, that they have to kill about 8 billion people. What better way to do that than bioweapon injections, spraying skies, poisoning the food, fluoridating and chlorinating the water, starting more wars so that more brothers will go and kill themselves, nuclear fallout. It just never stops. And the way that the trajectory is moving and the pace with which all of this has just opened up. And now you look at the timeline that Project Esther just tells you, this is what's going to happen. You look at the letter that was written and addressed to President Donald Trump 45 from the Sanhedrin that told him, you are going to enforce Noahidism. Then there's rumors that he converted to Judaism and that J stands for Jew. I mean, I know that it doesn't, but you understand what I'm saying. Donald the Jew Trump, that he's literally a Jew. How can you argue against it? The guy married his daughter off to the subversive Jew that completely undermined the entire first term of this presidency. If there was ever a hope that Donald Trump was the guy, if there was ever a hope that in 2015, Donald Trump legitimately said, I am going to go and put America first. We really are going to make America great again. It's very apparent and it's very obvious. All of the physical and all of the circumstantial, chronological, all of the evidence put together in this trove of evidence that we have right now suggests that very quickly the tribe got to him. Very quickly, if not before he had already announced that he was running for president. What about when Roy Cohn was conditioning him to be the president? What about when Roy Cohn was the Lou Pearlman Jew that put together the perfect Britney Spears, the perfect Backstreet Boys, the perfect NSYNC package, and propelled Donald Trump? They told him a long time ago that he was going to be the president. When Donald Trump announced that Operation Warp Speed was going to take place and that big pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Gilead were going to work together with Moderna and AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson, when he was going every day on the news and saying, we need more ventilators. We need more ventilators. We need a vaccine. We need a shot. You need to drink bleach. I don't remember exactly what he said there. There he might have been on the right path. But when he started talking about these shots and how quickly that he needed to get these things put together, and that as soon as we could get enough people vaccinated, as soon as enough of the population, the Deborah Birx and Tony Fauci, Scarf Lady, Rat Demon Face Jew, Tony Fauci, that duo, the whole EcoHealth Alliance, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, all of these NGOs, all of the big pharma people, they were going to rush to get ventilators made by motor companies. GM was going to work on these things. Remdesivir, that came from Gilead. These are a Tony Fauci drug. Tony Fauci put these drugs into an Ebola trial. It was kicked out after killing 53% of the people that took it. When Donald Trump, when he said that he was going to work at warp speed, that his government, his administration was going to work at warp speed to get these vaccines out, Frankie, we all already know the vaccines were already in existence. We already knew that for at least a decade, these shots, these bioweapons, were already in existence. Dr. David Martin proved that over and over again with all of the patents, with the pegylated lipid nanoparticle being a weapon of biowarfare that was deployed. The entire COVID-19 operation was a Department of Defense-led operation that originated at Fort Detrick in our country, not in Wuhan, China, at a Pentagon-operated Level 4 bioweapons lab. And it wasn't a bat and a pangolin that had sex with each other and flew over some soup at a wet market and people got infected. We saw propaganda videos coming out of China where these Chinamen were just dropping dead. They were just keeling over in the middle of the street. That's what was rushing its way our direction. That's what was coming. A novel coronavirus that nobody knew anything about. It's all that you heard. Andrew Cuomo was on TV every day like he was the president, giving his COVID-19 updates, and the rest of the country was taking their cues from Andrew Cuomo. He was knowingly sending helpless geriatrics to their death in modern-day progressive death camps, in the Jew ovens. The Jew held the key to the ovens. And Cuomo, he was their foot soldier sending them there. You weren't allowed to talk to them. You had to wear a mask. The smiles from your children were removed from existence. They had no facial interaction or recognition with any of their teachers or any of the people that were, important in their lives. Their mothers and fathers were hugging them through pieces of plastic on open air outdoor playgrounds, separating themselves from their children. Because we were watching fake propaganda films of Chinamen dropping dead and had no idea what was coming our way. So we had to do everything possible. And what did people do? They supported Donald Trump. What did people do? They got behind whatever. Remember, 15 days to slow the curve. That's all you got to do. Just 15 days. For 2 weeks and a day, I just need you to lock down, shut up, don't go visit anybody, take this shot, wear that mask, don't say shit. Take these pills. That's what you need to do. 15 days, no restaurants, close the bars, close your small businesses. They, by the way, will never reopen. We'll get to that later. All of the family businesses, they were just swallowed up, gobbled up by who? By big box stores, by big finance, by big corporate America, who is owned and operated by the Jew. From the very beginning, it was a Jew operation. It was Rochelle Walensky at the CDC. It was Albert Bourla at Pfizer. They were all Jews everywhere you look. Everybody has seen the meme. Everybody has seen their faces. From the very beginning, the Jews were carrying out a methodical mass murder operation on U.S. soil, and the president of the United States of America was Donald Trump. And everybody just wants to forget about that. Everybody just wants to go and vote for him again because we're given these two options. That just tells you that the entire system is fake. It just tells you that everything that we're watching is 100% scripted, altered, doctored, changed, put into Adobe Premiere, and then presented to you, not even in a theatrical and airtight presentation form, but very shoddy. We don't care that you know that we took a minute out of this film. You're never going to see the film. What the fuck are you going to do about it? We don't care that in hindsight, you can look back and see that this was a DOD operation under the commander-in-chief, President Donald J. Trump, and that killed millions of Americans and made the rest of them ticking time bombs. And that's not just including the people that took that stupid shot. That's also including all of us. If you have sex with somebody that took that shot, we reported, you're just as good as dead because you got the spike protein in you as well. Now we're learning viral shedding secretes through sweat. When I'm over here talking in the studio right now, if the guy sitting next to me took a shot from over there, when he speaks and those little droplets come out of his mouth and they enter the atmosphere and I breathe them in or they go into my lungs or anything else, guess what? I have the spike protein. People who never took these shots are seeing these white fibrous clots inside of them. People who never took these shots are dropping over dead. They're developing myocarditis. They're normalizing it in the Jew-funded media. We are under attack by our own government at the behest of and at the orders of the Jew in Israel, the modern state of Israel, the modern day Jew. They are attacking us. We saw the expansion of the map of Greater Israel. We zoomed in on that. Now their aspirations to expand even further, they butt right up to Ukraine, to New Khazaria. Why do you think Donald Trump has now decided to expedite weapons to Ukraine? To make sure that he helps the Sanhedrin, to make sure that he helps, that he coordinates, that he abides by the rules that have been laid out for him, that he must play for because he's on tape having sex with kids. It really isn't that advanced. Does it get technical? Does it get deep? Does it get weedy? Yes, of course it does, because the layers of this thing are centuries old. This is every bit as much a spiritual battle and spiritual warfare, more so spiritual warfare than it is kinetic, what we see on our TV, than it is kinetic when you see your neighbor come down with a turbo cancer. He was perfectly healthy mowing his lawn just a month ago, and now he's fucking dead. This is a lot different than your dad developing some long-term, never-before-seen, weird freak show illness as a result of getting his 12th booster shot. It's horrible, and it's horrendous, and it's awful, and it's black, and it's dark, and it's depressing, and it's demonic. But at its source, it's spiritual. Because this is all being perpetuated by a people who truly believe that they were chosen by God to inflict this damage and death and bloodshed and destruction. They are a bloodthirsty, parasitic leech. It's a tick to a dog. It will inject its venom to give you a disease, and it will suck you of your blood until you're dead. And until it's gotten rid of, and until the people who are responsible for this alliance are arrested and taken into custody and charged, there is no solution. The only solution is that these people are rounded up, that these people are placed on trial, and that they are dealt with expeditiously in a judicious fashion. And that when they are adjudicated, that they are sentenced. And that when they are sentenced, their sentencing is carried out quickly. The same people that will write in the Rolling Stone today or the New York Times tomorrow saying that Stu Peters is calling for rounding up government officials and executing them, they'll take everything that I just said completely out of context. They'll ignore all of the factual citations that I emit. They'll write these hyperbolic headlines and have this big, whoop-to-do all over the place about how, or gassed. No, gassing doesn't work. All right, chat? We've proven that as well. Let's talk realistically here. Gassing has been proven to be completely ineffective, especially with wooden doors. That's what they're going to write. They're going to ignore the fact that for years, this is exactly what these people have been doing. For years, these people have been hunting us to our own extinction. For years, these people have been committing crimes against humanity. For years, these people have been using our money to suck us dry of our economic resources, using our energy to suck us dry of our health resources. They have been sucking us dry of our children's blood, and the future of this country is now lying in the balance. The future of this country is right now, today, on July 11th, 2025 at 3:29 p.m. Eastern Time. Right now, this country is hanging off the cliff and it's do or die time. And that's why constantly we talk about getting yourself in shape. That's why constantly we talk about, look, if I have an advertiser left on this platform, it's because it's somebody that I really believe in and somebody who has the fucking balls to advertise on this platform. And it's because they have a product that will actually help to save you. We are in times of war right now. And the criticism that I'm going to get from the New York Times and the Rolling Stone for calling for accountability for government officials, it's warranted, because that's what time it is. It's time for extreme accountability for these so-called actors that are playing the role, cosplaying as government officials. Who gives them their fucking authority to begin with? I do. Who gives them their authority? You do. You do. You all give them that authority. Voluntarily, you surrender that authority to an entity that calls itself the federal government. And then you go once a year and you confess to them on your 1040 forms about how much money you made so that you can give them their share, so that at the end of a gun barrel, they can go around the world annexing people from land, stealing all of their resources, killing Americans, taking their lithium in Western North Carolina, taking their valuable property in Lahaina and Maui, burning it all down in the fucking Palisades, and bringing the Jews in to rape more of your kids. And then when they're caught, if they're ever investigated in the first place, guess what we do? We, the taxpayers, pay for them to go to Israel from anywhere in the world with a manila envelope filled with cash, just like they're a parasitic invader from the third world. And they are, because they're replacing them. Those are their foot soldiers. That's the war on whites. They're hunting us to extinction, and we're doing nothing about it because we're scared of the fallout. Oh, well, if you say that you need to hold these government officials to extreme accountability for raping and killing kids, well, then you must be an online terrorist. You're inciting violence. No, I'm the victim of violence. I'm the victim of biological warfare attacks. I'm the victim of spiritual warfare. I'm the victim of kinetic warfare. And guess what? So are my kids. And I'm not going to tolerate it. And so, yes, political solution. Yeah, the political solution is that this political apparatus is completely torn down, dissolved, abolished, and dustified, and that those responsible for running it are held to extreme accountability, and nothing less will work. Until we lock up and charge and sentence and carry out the sentencing of these pedophiles that are running this criminal enterprise network from its tentacles base, from its headquarters on Rothschild Boulevard in Tel Aviv in the city of London, until we get to these people and we hold them accountable on an international stage, the status quo will continue. And the status quo is hunting you to extinction and having unfettered legal sexual access to your children. Are you okay with that? Then keep voting. Are you okay with that? Then keep running for sheriff. Are you okay with that? Then keep screaming about it on the internet. Tune out Stu Peters. He's too hyperbolic. Tune him out. Sometimes people only respond to force. Sometimes the reason why police officers go through something called use of force training, the reason why people that enlist in this military that goes and kills innocent kids and families for the expansionists, for the settlers, for the synagogue of Satan, the reason why they go through hand-to-hand combat training is because people resist. People resist when you say you're under arrest. People resist when you say, hi, I'm here from the military-industrial complex at the behest of Israel at their benefit to kill you and to slaughter your children or rape them or teach them the importance of transgenderism and teach them to jack off while warlords rape little boys and the United States military looks the other way for 20 fucking years before we hand billions of dollars of equipment over to the same people that were oppressing you in the first place. We went and defeated the Taliban so that we could give power back to the Taliban. We went and created ISIS so that we could fund ISIS, so that we could arm ISIS, so that we could go to war with ISIS, so that we could kill a bunch of people in the name of killing ISIS, just to hand the country right back over to ISIS. And then, by the way, to arm them to the teeth. The Hamas attack. Who funded Hamas? Who created Hamas? The Mossad created Hamas. The state of Israel created Hamas. The U.S. taxpayer funded Hamas. Oh, well, no, they didn't. Stu Israel funded Hamas. Well, where in the fuck do you think Israel got their money from? We are at war. We are the victims of violence. We have been cutting people to pieces for a long time. And as those Marines know, and as those Army soldiers know, and as those naval officers and those sailors know, and as the Air Force pilots and ground guys and the EOD crews know, and as every cop knows everywhere, they have been trained in hand-to-hand combat and trained to use weapons of war because most times when a bad guy is caught, he will only respond to force. He will only respond to violence. So call me a violent individual. Tell me that I'm inciting violence. No. Fuck that. We're the victims of violence. If every veteran in this country knew why they cut that family to pieces, if every veteran that was just in Fallujah, that was still alive and well-bodied and able and armed, knew why they went into Fallujah, if they knew why they took the pulse away from every living and breathing organism that existed, that occupied that space at that time under the direction of Mad Dog Mattis, if they knew why they went in there and cut those dogs and cats and children and women to pieces? If they knew who they were serving when they did that? What do you think those veterans would do? Do you think they would continue offing themselves at 22 a day or 28 a day or whatever the fucking t-shirts from Grunt Style say, which is a completely low number because there are hundreds of them that are killing themselves every day by way of addiction, by way of opiates. They've got heroin needles stuck in their fucking arms. They've lost their families. They've committed domestic violence. They've been locked up. They've had their whole lives taken away from them. They've become patriotic and shown up at events like January 6th only to lose everything. Their house, their cars, their divorce, their family, their custody of their children. They've been locked up in insane asylums. While the tranny freak shows, by the way, who we should reopen insane asylums for, are busy in the schools in a single mother home because you took their father away from them, getting molested by the fucking teacher, and the mom is clueless and has no idea that any of this is going on. That veteran would have decapitated that fucking teacher had he laid his hands on his kid when he was free and not in custody. And all of them are in custody. We're all in custody. We're in digital custody, virtual custody, financial custody. None of us are a free people. You want freedom? You got to pay for it. You want freedom? It comes with a sacrifice. Real freedom comes with a sacrifice. The CIA created ISIS, you're damn fucking right they did. And they created Hamas, and they created Hezbollah, but we send them pallets of cash. Then the next day, they're our enemy. You want to go bomb Iran? Is that really on the agenda? Do you think Americans, Frankie, really support going and bombing Iran? No, they don't. But you know what? They don't care what the Americans think. Just like Benjamin Netanyahu has been cited on tape multiple times saying this: I don't care what the American people think. I don't care what the American government thinks. We have control of the American media apparatus. We have control of the American political apparatus. We don't give two fucks what the sentiment is. We don't really care what the discourse is because we have them blackmailed. We have them captured. We have their weapons. We have the only undeclared nuclear weapons system program in the entire world. We are the war criminals. We are the synagogue of Satan. We control everything. Your same government is repeating those talking points. They don't give a fuck if you know who's on the Epstein list. They don't give a shit if they know that you're lying, that they're lying about the Epstein list. They don't care if it exists, if it doesn't exist. They don't care if they're putting out, edits from Adobe Premiere that are shoddy. They're doing it because there's no accountability. They're doing it because the American population has been so scared shitless of trying to break out from this open-air prison camp that we are living in here. Free Palestine, how about free us? Free Palestine, how about free America? Free our kids. That's what I care about. That's all I care about. Free our children. Then we can worry about Palestine. Then we can worry about these other people in these other countries. I really don't give a damn. You got problems over there? Fucking deal with it. You guys are starving? Grow some food. We're not going to go bomb them. That's what we're doing. You want to know where these people are coming from and how they're starved and how they're able to be kept without food and water? Oh, Stu, he's just like, he's insensitive. He doesn't care about the Palestinians. All these times he's been screaming free Palestine and he doesn't care about these people. Don't you understand? We, as in the U.S. taxpayer, we, as in the United States government, which I don't even want to call we because I'm not a part of that machine. Our fake government, the United States American war empire, the Raytheon Pfizer butt sluts, Lindsey Graham, the Lockheed Martin mattress ladder climbing war hawks like Nikki Haley. These people are responsible for all of these kids starving to death. We described what it happens to your body when you starve to death. These people are the ones that are responsible for keeping these people without food and water. It's because of American involvement. It's because of America's commitment to the synagogue of Satan why there is any turmoil in the world at all whatsoever. The leading state sponsor of terror, the United States government, the military-industrial complex, the American war empire, the Israeli genocidal war machine, that none of it would exist without the cooperation of the American taxpayer, Mr. 2A Vietnam War veteran boomer who says, "From my cold dead hands, you'll take my gun." You lying pussy. You don't mean it. Our country is being swept away from us like that. The future for our children is being swept away from us like that. And so long as I'm free and out of custody, and so long as I'm armed, and so long as I'm dangerous, look out for Stu Peters. All right, Kash Patel, does that put me now on the DOJ watch list because I'm telling people that their government is killing them and that they should do something about it? This apathy and complacency is bullshit. Cheering patriotism is bullshit. Chilling patriotism is what has happened. So all of these loudmouth cheering people that are out there in the back somewhere in some corner bitching and complaining every day about the Jew is not talking about remedy. Bitching and complaining about a doctored film, what are you going to do about it? There are 350 million of us in this country that can't die on that hill. There are 350 million of us that can't say you're not going to fuck my kids. You're not going to screw my country. You're not going to take away what my future should hold, what the generations that come after me and the civilizations that my people are responsible for building, that you have now captured. People, Frankie, just don't want to wake up to this. People don't want to see what's really real. We don't even have to get into the depths of all of this shit. We don't have to talk about how deeply entrenched the enemy really is, because at the surface level, right in our federal government, all of it is outlined for you. If you stop responding to them, if you are actually defiant and you become ungovernable, if you start actually coordinating with the people across the street, if you know your neighbor and if you know if they're armed and if they know how to shoot, if you from a community level tell the government to fuck off and be ungovernable, never pay another dime in taxes, guess what stops? All of it. But these people show up at your door, Boomer. You're volunteering your guns and you're allowing them to take you into custody. Mark my words. These people want nothing to do with allowing freedom for you. These people want nothing to do with the prevailing of the United States of America, with America being the beacon of humanity, the big bright light that shines on the rest of the world, because the big bright light is white and white is right. By the way, go get my book. It's called It's Really Fun to Be White. The war is on the whites. And let's be honest, our children have bore the brunt of the anti-white war that is raging on in our country right now. Don't you dare let them go to school before they read this. Ages 4 to 18, 48 pages. It's beautiful. Take it to your school board. Demand that this is available on the shelves in all of the public schools and libraries in your neighborhoods.